Natsuko pins her down with a rock and forcefully breaks all her fingers, confirming her suspicion of Natsuko being a slimy-ass bitch. Somehow, still decides to save her and give her all the positive points.
Tell me how you feel, please don't lie to me. Tell me how you feel, it means a lot to me. Close your eyes, you will arrive. Stay in sleep, one day you will arise. How many days in a week? When do we plan to meet? 7 days only speak.
I have seen a lot of garbage horror anime in my life. However, none of them quite reach the level of stupid that King's Game has. Every single character is dumb as hell and irrational as fuck. Literally the most unreliable classmates in all of human history. But please, let me elaborate. As the title suggests, these niggas are trapped in a death game to where they have to carry out these orders sent by an anonymous sender who is obviously the king within 24 hours, or they receive a punishment which 99% of the time is death. And due to these very serious consequences, you can understand why they would sometimes act immorally, but they're not just immoral, they're fucking stupid. And the MC is an actual Harvard University graduate in the study of cap, because he goes the entire series straight lying to his classmates with this optimistic view that you can actually survive the King's Game together, despite knowing that's not fucking possible. We're about to step into some straight head assery. The first episode starts with Nobuaki at his new school, and everybody tries to be cool with him. Like, they was like, hey yo, you like soccer? And Natsuko the entire day basically tries to be cool with him. And as some time goes by, everything seems to be normal. Until it wasn't. So basically how this works is anytime the king gives out an order, every player in the game receives the same text, so now they all know what you have to do. So naturally, he goes to school the next day and everybody started clowning his ass. They was like, the king thing? What type of lame ass shit? You a not slick nigga. We know you wanna kiss Natsuko, yeah, bitch ass boy. Your ass a pervert. And despite the jokes, Natsuko literally confirms that she is down to do it, to which the class starts clowning Nobuaki even crazier, and he decides to shrug it off and actually warn them of the severity of the game and that it's actually real and that they could die.
None of us are laughing anymore. If I were you, I'd go back to being quiet.
Fuck out of here, nigga! All right. The fuck wrong with you, boy?
This nigga goes the entire day ducking Natsuko, only for her to find him later on at night randomly in the middle of buttfuck nowhere, and somehow got the kiss off in the last literal 60 seconds before midnight hits, or they both would have been punished. Then they get a plethora of texts from the king letting them know that a bunch of niggas done got punished for doing something unnecessary, I guess, like fucking sleeping. They all agree to meet at this random open park to discuss these supposed deaths that are taking place, and then something stupid happens. All of them somehow blame Nobuaki for supposedly not warning them about the game. That's fucking cap, because he literally does do that. He warned you niggas that the game was real and none of y'all took it seriously, and now you're paying the fucking consequences. And of course, despite their willful ignorance, none of them are responsible for their own fucking choices, and they blame Nobuaki anyway and beat that nigga up. And for no apparent reason, or at least one that I can't remember right now, this nigga got punished. In a flashback, we see Nobuaki and his classmates get introduced to the King's Game for the first time. And obviously, at first, they thought that shit was some top-tier cappity. But after two of their classmates got flatlined the exact same way the text said they would, they start believing this shit might be real as fuck. They instantly start panicking because another order comes in that requires this four-eyed geek to turn this nigga into a cuck and get busy with his hoe. So they really do that shit. And that nigga was not happy about that shit, boo. He came back to school like,
what I need you to do is I need you to take a nearest rope that you got, wrap it around, if you got a garage or or fucking stairway and hang yourself, nigga. Period. Why are you alive?
And here go Nobuaki lying his ass off, talking about,
try to hang yourself and I'll stop you.
He casually walked past you despite your promise to save him and hung himself, you dummy. Back to the present, and I forgot to mention earlier that Natsuko got an order of her own that, just like the last case, requires her to fuck a classmate. And I just gotta say, yo, King, why don't you sit down for a second?
Would you have a seat?
Did you forget that the participants in your little fucked game are minors? Natsuko kicks Teruaki off her, and it is revealed that she is crazy as hell and tells Nobuaki to follow her into the woods just so she can talk mad shit and try to choke him, but then got knocked on her ass and she cries wolf, and everybody shows up believing her obvious cap and just starts beating Nobuaki up with absolutely no proof of her claim, just blatantly ignoring the drastic change in Natsuko's personality that she has taken on. At this point, I have realized that these characters are just infuriatingly stupid because Natsuko literally goes on a villain monologue about her definitely not mentally ill murder speech and how it can feel really good and displaying her very obviously evil self, and dummies like this ask,
is she acting weird, or is it just me?
How? How is anyone this fucking stupid? There is no way you heard an entire evil-ass dialogue and said, something's probably wrong with that person. No, stupid, something is wrong with that person. And Mizuki proves to be every bit the fucking moron I guess she would be by breaking her phone, thinking that will solve the problem. Back to the past again, and get used to it because this anime does a lot of back and forth from the past to the present. So, yeah. Anyway, Nobuaki's best friend Naoya got caught up in some vote with himself against some thought named Kana. Cooking with Kana? Okay, my fault. Anyway, she was straight acting like the top thought, doing all this crazy shit with niggas to get the votes just to lose anyway in the dumbest way imaginable.
I win!
You didn't read all of it.
This vote is for Naoya.
So the king allowed her to get hit with the gotcha, and she threw herself out of a fucking window, which is, I ain't gonna lie, kind of reasonable considering the pattern of deaths, but the king is straight trolling. This nigga's punishment for her was just confess to the person you like. Also, this is kind of interesting. How is it possible that the first literal name on the piece of paper is Kana's, so the vote should have technically counted for her? But no, because the rest of the note said, I'm sorry, the vote is for Naoya, it somehow counted and she lost, receiving a punishment. I will come back to this later on and link it to another scenario that happens and explain to y'all why this makes no fucking sense. Anyway, funny enough, she survives the fall, but later dies in the hospital, and you guessed it, her punishment turns into a new order that is now for Naoya, and he has to basically get laid in the last 10 minutes of the day, considering if he doesn't fuck something before 12 o'clock, he gonna die. But now you're getting no play, right? So Nobuaki does the most logical shit ever and basically picked up his girlfriend and Naoya, threw them both in a room and say, hey, do the deed because I want you to live. And here go Naoya being the most difficult bitch of all time. Talking about,
Maybe I don't care if I die, you idiot! I don't think I can live with myself if I betrayed the two of you!
the irony of this so-called betrayal, considering you're literally disobeying your friend's wishes, and Chimi, who is consenting and saying that this is available to do to save your life, then I'll just do it. And this nigga still being stubborn to the point of not fucking thinking. Nobuaki rushes in the room and knocks his dumbass out and says, just do it anyway. Which adds infinitely more validity to the claim that if you had just used your fucking noggin for 5 seconds, you could have been like, I can just do the deed for literally 2 seconds, zip up and get my shit the fuck out of here. But no, you didn't even have to be awake to complete the order, my nigga. And now we're introduced to the dumbest character in the entire show, my nigga. This is Nami, and she is fucking slow. Nobuaki had a theory that the king might be a classmate. She then takes the ball and runs with it with absolutely no proof, whatsoever and gives herself the free order of touching the king. That shit turned out to be some monumental cap. Much expected from this nigga, but also you're just fucking stupid. If the consensus was, guess I'll just die if the king isn't a fucking classmate, why didn't you use your order for something more useful? Like, the king will now reveal himself to me. I mean, he let you try to touch him? Or literally anything. Like, I will now pick a classmate that will take a punishment on my behalf should I fall short. That way you can test to see if that's even possible.
But it's gotta be something that can be carried out in 24 hours.
Yeah. That's the act itself, picking the classmate that will take the punishment on your behalf should you fail at any point. Or you could have tested to see if it's possible to give orders to somebody who is not in the game. I'm just saying, I don't want to pick anything that's obviously impossible, like, oh, I'm out of the game, or, you know, I'm immune to all punishments, as I'm very sure that's the one thing you cannot do. Anyway, her punishment was blindness, and she bodies herself because she just cannot live that way. They find out that crying or blocking the king are both deemed unnecessary, and you get punished for doing either of those things. So naturally, a lot of niggas die because, you know, they crying, they friends getting smoked left and right, and some more shit. This dude, Yosuke, finds out that the very first King's game apparently took place in some random spot that's, I guess, not on any map, despite you literally finding it on a map, called Yonaki Village, and that's where it all started. And of course, he dies anyway because he cries, and Nobuaki is unable to tell him that the king thinks crying makes you a bitch. And obviously, Kaori, Yosuke's love interest, calls Nobuaki directly after his death to be like, is he all right? And now this nigga Nobuaki gotta put on his thinking cap and start capping. He said,
It's okay. He's fine.
Not sure why he would even say that, considering that every player in the game gets a fucking text message from the king letting them know who got punished and how. With the info from Yosuke, Nobuaki heads to the train station so that he can leave for Yonagi Village, but Kaori somehow knows the exact train station he's at, kidnaps him for interrogation, but then ends up crying, which means dying, saying that she'll meet Yosuke in heaven. My God, these are the smartest characters. Fast forward a little bit, and this is the craziest order so far. Apparently, somebody got to roll a die. Pick the number of classmates based on that roll. The nigga that rolled and the number of niggas picked all get punished. What? So they obviously start panicking about who about to roll and die as a result, and this nigga, obviously being an ugly dude, he gonna grab Chimi and hold her at knife point like, hey, pick any nigga that's not me. And of course, he rolls a 6 and starts naming off niggas to get murked, right? And obviously the main characters can't fucking die. So here come this bozo-ass geek coming out of nowhere with his now sense of justice and sacrifices himself for his so-called friends that he has never interacted with the entire show, nigga. And here come this emo-ass bitch talking about,
I'm going to take down the king right now.
what? So you telling me you had a plan to supposedly end the game, but you waited for the arguably hardest order to be carried out first? Like, what if he called your name? Now you would have been looking dumb as hell, in hell, burning for eternity for being stupid as hell.
The game might not have been started by a person, but a virus. The King's Game virus has been deleted.
Nigga, that shit was cap.
Can you make that commitment for him?
No.
Can you make that
No, I don't want it.
We would not have our present day King's Game if this attempt at ending it didn't fail miserably. But, you know, she managed to turn on fire, take off her clothes, and give this badass speech about how they have to take down the bastard king in her place, and all this bullshit with all this music playing and whatnot. And I cannot overlook the fact that, you know, you are on fire! This scene trying so hard to be cool as hell, but really stupid as fuck. Cause like, you next to this big ass lake of water, like just jump in. Why are you not doing that? Back to the present, and these two dumbasses die like fucking idiots. And Natsuko calls Kenta's phone knowing it's Nobuaki and start taunting him. And in the very next scene, we see that Teruaki is a bitch. Like, how are you letting Natsuko bully you and take your phone and shit? Like, at the end of the day, she is a female. Beat her up. I don't condone hitting women, but under these circumstances,
Give me your phone, bitch.
I'm gonna give you 5 seconds to give me my shit back.
What's the matter? What you gonna do if I... Wait, hold up. Wait.
Till you get my shit back. You think I'm not finna whoop your ass for taking my phone in this game? Bitch, please, I'll dog walk your ass up and down the boulevard. They all agree to meet at this park for the new order, right? And it's basically your right hand is positive points, your left is negative. And you can also pass to not give yourself or anyone else negative points. Needless to say, if you end the game with a negative score, you die. This dude Teruaki had a plan to get his and Nobuaki's phones back by breaking every finger on his left hand and threatening Natsuko like, give us back the phones or hold all these negatives. And she does give the phones back, but Teruaki still gave her 4 negative points, 1 to Aimi, and 1 positive point to Nobuaki. We find out that Aimi asked Teruaki to give her 1 negative point to sort of test Natsuko's friendship and bravery. And of course, she's fucking stupid beyond all reason and understanding. Natsuko pins her down with a rock and forcefully breaks all her fingers, confirming her suspicion of Natsuko being a slimy-ass bitch. Somehow still decides to save her and give her all the positive points. Oh my god! No! This isn't just irrational, my nigga. This is fucking stupid. The dumbest shit ever! But the bullshit doesn't end there, obviously, as later on, Teruaki gets a punishment text on his phone because apparently Natsuko had blocked the king on his phone prior to giving it back. And why did it take so long for him to get this punishment anyway? This is also what I want to tie back to that scene from earlier. It seemed like the king was looking for the intent of the voter during the Kana versus Naoya voting punishment thing or whatever. And he knew that the intent of the voter was to vote for Naoya despite him writing Kana's name first. So why didn't he recognize that it wasn't Teruaki that blocked him, but actually Natsuko? So am I tripping? The new order has every classmate running to some summit that's like mad far away, right? And every 8 hours, the person that's the furthest away gon' die. And Nobuaki, being the gentleman that he is, attempts to run backwards to save Ryona, but it turns out Aimi was the furthest behind, so she dies like the absolute thought she was. Natsuko reaches the destination first and manages to finesse a few classmates into dying. And of course, Natsuko decides to be a linebacker but got knocked on her ass by Nobuaki and the rest, and they make it in the last 60 seconds before they all got punished.
I'm going to get stronger.
Literally, why? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, this anime tries so hard to shake things up by doing the dumbest shit on earth. Like, how? The king's new order is to make a human doll out of the remaining classmates' body parts or just one person's body part. And at first, I thought, okay, that's why he knocked Nobuaki out. He about to chop that nigga up. I could not be more wrong, nigga. This nigga decided to cut himself up and sacrifice himself with this dumbass delusion that if he does this, he'll become a real man. Like, no, you just gonna be dead and dumb as he dies anyway after cutting one leg off. And obviously, Nobuaki survives getting up, and they all start putting together the little syllables that the king has been texting each victim before they got cooked. And it basically said the king's game is never gonna stop unless they offer all their lives tonight, and that will maybe end the game. Or that shit ain't never gonna end till everybody on Earth get dropped by this fucking game. Then this anime started capping some nefarious. Somehow Natsuko is able to survive a literal fucking chainsaw to the spine and bleeds out for over a minute, manages to get up and kill Nobuaki too, to later show some even greater cap by showing her in heaven? Hell no. Why they right here? Hello? This heaven, right? Yes. How did you get this number? Transfer me to God immediately. There's been a mistake. That's the end of this video, man. I hate all these characters. I ain't gonna sugarcoat it. Bro, these niggas dumb as fuck. I appreciate y'all niggas so much for 5K. You know what I'm saying? We hit that whole kind of you feel me? But that's it. Catch you next one, man. Gang.